in terms of our needs, right? In terms of the draft, we have checked off a ton of the major pressing needs. So depending on how the board falls, we'll see in terms of, do we have our secondary picks being wide receiver, or is it a inside linebacker, or is it a safety, or is it something like that? Because we don't feel like we have to necessarily pick one particular position anymore, just based on what Omar Khan and Andy Weidel have done through free agency. So with that being the case, we felt like it was important to spin the block and look at some of the information that the Steelers have giving us, both at the combine with those meetings, but more importantly with the players that they have brought into the facility, because you only get 30 official visits per team, per draft, and whoever you're using them on, it usually for a reason of significance. So for the official meetings, or the official visits, the Steelers only brought in 3 wide receivers. Jonathan Mingo.
Is that window over?
No, I want to say it should have ended at the, well, yeah, because it's in April now, so it should have ended like right at the end of March.
Okay.
Yeah, it was usually like that time frame, because I'm trying to think, even when I was taking the visits. No, I think you still go on. I think they still might go up, but it's usually like 2.5 weeks prior to the draft where all that stuff like stops.
Okay. We're getting close either way.
Like it's probably like a week or 2 left tops, because with these visits, some of them you bring in and you're just medical, wine and dine. I want to get you in the classroom. I want to watch tape with you. I want to just, get my hands on you. Get to really understand you a little bit better, but in a less high tense environment like the combine is. Because the combine is just so much going on. It's rapid. It's nonstop, sun up to sun down. You might meet a guy and it might not be the best first impression. Or you might meet a guy and you might think that it was cool, but it felt a little on the superficial, because we only met on a brief moment with everything that's been going on. Whereas now when you bring them on that official visit, they're there for multiple days. You got time to really just sit there and learn them and just figure out how they think, how they tick, what's their routines and stuff like that. But the other thing is, some of these guys that come in on visits, they will actually work out as well for the teams.
Yeah, from what it looks like, they only have some scheduled for today, and that's it. Today would be the last day from what I'm looking at. This is on Steelers Depot. It's either they already had their meetings or today's the last day.
That's about right. Because like I said, once you start getting to that 2.5,
so it means something. What I'm saying, this is why I'm curious. This is why I was asking, because the guys we're going to talk about, we didn't bring in any other receivers beyond them so far. Unless I'm missing some, unless they're going to schedule some for April 6th or 7th, but that's all we have right now.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, this is very valuable info, man, in terms of who we are looking for, the type of player we're looking for, also what round these guys are being projected, to also give you a kind of an idea of who, we should be targeting, or who we potentially could be having join the squad, man. But
so there's 23 names on this list.
Yeah, so we still got some names
available. So maybe there are some more,
yeah.
But the number's going down.
Yeah. So currently, the Steelers have brought in 3 wide receivers on official visits. Jonathan Mingo from Ole Miss, or either they've already visited, or they have one scheduled. So Jonathan Mingo, the wide receiver from Ole Miss, Charlie Jones, the wide receiver from Purdue, and then Jaden Reed, the wide receiver from Michigan State. With those 3,
they definitely are scheduled past today.
Yeah,
I messed up on that. There are going to be some, because all they have listed is scheduled.
Yeah.
So if it's not today, there's got to be something in the future. So there's, I guess, 7 more names
that
left out
be
there.
added to this.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the thing is, too, man, and we'll talk about the various positions in multiple days and stuff like that. We ain't going to do it all today. But as you start to see how many players they're bringing in at certain positions, or just the style of players, when you see that, okay, all of these guys are kind of similar, it does kind of let you know what they are targeting, or what they're viewing as a little bit more of a pressing need, or something that they want to put more attention to. Because with all 3 of these receivers, man, they are very similar, so to speak, in the vein that people view them at the next level, more than likely having to transition into that slot role. Now, they are very different in terms of these 3 receivers, in terms of their body types, how they generate separation, how they generate their productivity. But all 3 still have that same kind of projection type of being slots at the NFL level. And I think with that, when we're talking about our situation right now, who do we feel confident in our wide receiver room? We feel good with George Pickens. We feel good with Deontay. But after that, our conversation goes back to that slot. It goes to Calvin Austin. What is he like? Anthony Miller. We talked about that dynamic and ultimately how you got a veteran that hasn't played in over, a year and a half, 2 years. And you got a former rookie from a year ago that hasn't played any preseason ball, any regular season ball. And that's essentially what we're looking at being the head of our slot situation. So for the Steelers, you can have confidence in that, but it does look like they're still doing some due diligence on some potential mid to late round guys to come in here to either compete or even carve out a role in that vein. So with Jonathan Mingo, man, the cat out of Ole Miss, briefly talking about him, man, he was he was first off good size outside receiver, like big body. I think he's 6'2" is what they had him listed as. Now at Ole Miss, man, he played a ton of the X wide receiver, which is essentially wide receiver 1 at the collegiate level. You're the guy that's by yourself away from the multiple receivers on the other side. That's usually your guy. And for him, man, I thought he had big speed. You see him when he gets the ball in his hands, man, he is able to take it to the house. I think he has, in terms of the vertical threat element, I think he's really good in that vein. I think his combat catching does jump off the screen in terms of his 50-50s and stuff like that. And I think he's a good hands catcher. I don't think that he has a ton of wiggle and all of the things that you're necessarily looking for in a true traditional, like, smaller body slot. But he's one of those guys that when you think about what the Steelers have been doing when we've moved George Pickens inside, what we've done with Chase Claypool at times when he was on the roster, moving him inside, and heck, even Juju at sometimes, Jonathan Mingo does, in terms of what they're trying to project him being a slot, I can see that fitting what we've already been doing, having a bigger body versus the smaller Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, those type of guys where it's a little bit more, even Eli Rogers when you're talking about the Pittsburgh element, like just smaller.
I'm not going to front. That's what I want.
Me too.
We haven't successfully pulled that off.
I'm with you.
Ever, really.
And honestly, as a defender, I would much rather guard the big body slot. The big body's not going to scare me. You just got to play through the hands. That small jitterbug wide receiver that I'm going to take you inside and then burst away from you. I'm going to run over here and burst one for your leverage. I'm going to head and I'm going to act like I'm dragging and I'm going to take that thing vertical. That's the scary one. Heck yeah, man. I'm with you 100%, bro. 100%. But Jonathan Mingo, unfortunately, is not that type. He is definitely the bigger body type.
You're right. None of these guys are.
Yeah. We did have. We'll get to him. He's not up here. He's not on this one. We'll get to him though.
Yeah, we have the combine meetings we're going to talk about later.
Because I was like,
with receivers. We did have one. And that's why these little 30. What do they call them? The top 30 visits. That's why it's interesting because we don't have any of those combine receivers that we met with so far, at least on these top 30 visits. Again, there's. Now I'm seeing 8. I think there's 8 schedules that they could still make with people. But
because they classify JPJ. We ain't talking about him today, but he was listed as a local, so it doesn't count against your 30.
That must be what it is.
Yeah, so it doesn't count against your 30. Yep.
That's a free one. That's nice.
Yeah. That's
a position of need.
That's the cheat code. Yeah. Man, I remember when I was coming out.
Wait, so if we wanted to meet with Cansey, we could have just done it and it would have been free?
As long as he's like from that area, because all
right, why aren't we meeting with Brandon Hill then?
You could
just do that.
You definitely could. That was it. But sometimes the player will deny it. Like for me, it was the Redskins at the time. They was like, yo, you're a local visit, just come on up. And I was just like, yo, I don't want to go up there. It was just the drive for me, bro. I was like not feeling it. I promise I don't know why. And I'm a 6th rounder, so it wasn't even that crazy. But I don't know why I was just like, yeah, I'm good. Like, yeah.
Looking back, you wouldn't have done it the same way? Because like that's an opportunity,
honestly,
right?
Honestly, though, it's weird. I view the local visit, I thought it was disrespectful. I'm like, bro, if I'm an official visit, I only take official visits. When you take an official visit, bro, they wine and dine you, bro. I'm getting flew out like, yo, treat me like I'm 5-star. Don't tell me, yo, come on a local visit, drive yourself up, bro. Get out of here. I'm going to holler at you. Yeah. That's exactly how I looked at it, man. Now, hindsight 2020, maybe I took it wrong. But in the moment, I'm like.
Well, it was Washington, too.
I'm like,
it was Washington.
And they were the only team that ever said it. So for me, you can imagine if all these other teams are telling me I'm going to fly you as an official 30, like da-da-da-da, and now y'all hit me up on some, hey, you local, just drive on up. I'm like, nah, bro. Don't even feel right. Yeah.
At least lie to you, maybe?
Bro, lie to me. Yeah, lie to me.
Well, that would have been bad if you would have somehow found out that this was just a local visit.
Yeah, bro. They definitely with that. I'm just like, local? Like, hold on, bro. I don't know. It really rubbed me the wrong way in terms of how it was communicated to me.
Wait, so what does Washington get for local? They got a wide range. They get Virginia and Maryland?
I think, well, no. I think it's just the DMV area.
Okay.
So, like, all...
Delaware, too.
Yeah, like that type of vibe. Whereas Baltimore, I think they get, like, just Maryland.
Wow.
Yeah. But D.C., because D.C. technically is, like, Northern Virginia, but Northern Virginia is still a part of Virginia. Yeah. But it was weird. I only got the local call for there. Carolina, for example, and I'm closer to the Panthers area than I was to D.C., but literally nothing in terms of like local visits, nothing like that, or even like it being worded as a local.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, but I'll never forget that, bro. Yeah, hit me with hey, we get you for a local visit. It's like, yo, what?
Oh yeah, it's got to be a mile radius because if we bring in someone from Temple, there's no way they're calling that a local visit.
But they're still Pennsylvania.
They are still Pennsylvania,
and that's the thing. They're Pennsylvania.
You're saying that's how it worked out for you with Washington.
Because it's the state. It's still in the state. Yeah.
I'd be interested in that.
Yeah. Like I said, it could have been very, very just
maybe Washington has the cheat code because they're not actually a state, so they can take on multiple states.
Yeah.
Take on like maybe a wider radius. I don't know.
Yeah.
The other
Deke
two
said that. Deke was like, hey, "Bro, you don't think you should have went?" It's like, I don't know.
I just feel like, dude, you're going into the NFL.
Like, bro,
you're a young kid. They say you should always take, no matter even if you're a football player in general, coming out of college, take as many opportunities you could get.
Yes, but it is so weird with football, like how, like during that moment, because you're viewing it like, man, if I'm who I think I am, if I'm getting this buzz like I'm supposed to be getting, this is after my combine, this is after Mel Kiper and talk me up, I'm like, bro, feeling good. And if all these other teams are showing that type of interest, how can you come and be like down here with it? I don't know. It just felt real off to me, man. Like, Deke, if everybody taking you to steakhouses for interviews, everybody taking you to steakhouse to talk to you, and then I pull up, I'm like, hey, bro, let's go to McDonald's. You can be like, you might be a vibe, it might be cool, but you gonna still be like, damn, that kind of cheap compared to the other folks, man. At least he had the car service come for me, had the little, the dude with the suit on and the white gloves for me. He's just, yeah, pull up, Uber yourself, all right? Just didn't feel good, man. But did it. Yeah.
Which other of these two receivers you want to talk about?
Let's start with Charlie. Charlie Jones. I don't know why I keep wanting to call him Charlie Puth. It keeps sticking in my head, but it's definitely Charlie Jones. Excuse me for that one. Out of Purdue, though, man, 1 year productivity. But when you talk about that productivity, transfer from Iowa, he was running over there with the Campbells and
did you look up his backstory at all? I did not. I just saw that he had those 2 years of having like 300 yards at two different college teams. Then he goes to Purdue and lights it up.
Like, I don't know. I just know I know his last transfer was from Iowa. I don't know what happened prior to that, but when you talk about what he did this last season, I mean, he blew up. The productivity was crazy, over 1,000 yards. In terms of productivity there, ton of catches, shifty. I thought he was a really good route runner, man. Played the game the right way. I thought that he has a nice subtle burst, and that helps him in terms of generating separation. And I thought he had really good hands. He was playing a lot of the X receiver at Iowa, but I think that he's one of those guys that you definitely could bump inside, and he could create some issues there. The thing that he also has that punt return ability too. My, I guess, like, critique of him is, once again, when you're talking about him playing in the slot, when he creates his separation, I feel like it's still more of like an outside receiver style. Like, let me get you running, and then I'm going to change my levels. Let me, act like I'm about to, run this dig, and now I'm going to bang it out here. Like, he does that type of stuff really good. Whereas when you're thinking in that slot, it's more of like this short window. Give me 30 something, and then let me go here. Like, I don't know if he possesses that per se, but when you're talking about, once again, a bigger body slot receiver, this dude's 6 foot. You know what I mean? So that's still good size in there, man.
Bro, this dude was making the craziest catches I've ever seen.
He was.
Like, absolutely unbelievable. He's the anti-Claypool.
Bro, yeah.
Well, actually, all these dudes were making some combat catches.
Yeah.
They were.
His tape of
it jumped
these
off the screen.
Was freaky, bro.
It really was.
It was freaky.
And that's why I was like, man, are we going to get any of that slot work from him? Yeah. All I saw was just deep balls to him where he's high pointing the ball, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I just don't know if we need that. We already got George Pickens.
I'm like, that's you could put it in the slot, and I think it's gonna still be dope in the slot. But to me, I'm like, man, I like what this dude was showing at Purdue. Like, he could really go up and compete on the outside. I literally was like, man, I think he could play X. Like, if he can consistently beat press, but that's the question. That's the knock. Like, can you beat that? Because that's the biggest difference when you're talking college receivers versus pro receivers. Them college receivers, man, them DBs, they get hands on you, but it is not like that consistently across the board. Whereas when you talk about it at the pro level, man, everybody, that's the prerequisite. Because you can't let these athletes just run down the grass. So you got to be efficiency in your hands home and really being able to disrupt these guys. And that's the question when you're talking Charlie. It's like, can you consistently beat that when they walk up on you and they putting them hands on you? Because right now, when you get that release, you could just go. I think he shines. But that's going to be the question for him. That's going to be a question for all them dudes, realistically, though.
Maybe the Steelers are just keeping an open mind and they just want the best ball players.
Yeah.
If you take a Charlie, maybe you start thinking, hey, maybe we can move Deontay in the slot a little bit more. We can move Pickens just to make up for it, as opposed to having one designated slot guy. We already have a Calvin Austin or Anthony Miller that could do that. Mm-hmm. But if you want your three best receivers out on the field, maybe you do stuff like that. Because Pickens and Deontay can play the slot. I don't want them playing there the whole time, but you can mix and match.
Man, I feel like for Pickens, man, like, I don't want him running drags and crosses. I want him taking that deep. You know what I mean? I want him stretching the yard. Same with Deontay. It's like Deontay gives you some of the smaller route running, but at the same time, he's going to stretch the grass. That's why we play him at the X. But the Charlie dude, he definitely gives me outside receiver vibes. 1,000% he does, bro. Like, that's why it was still, like, surprising to me when I keep seeing they like, oh, it's a slot, it's a slot, it's a slot. I'm like, yeah, if you're looking for just size at 3, if that's what you're going for, size at that position, then yes. But in the true traditional sense of a slot receiver, that's not a slot receiver, bro. Yeah, like the true traditional slots, man, they're small, jitterbug, lateral quickness, man.
Yeah, none of these guys are who I would label slot receivers.
Yeah, not at all, man. Now, Jaden Reed, this the final guy from Michigan State. I said you can make a case for him. You can make a case for Jaden in terms of him being a true slot just because of the short area quickness that you see with him. But
oh, yeah. You know what? You know why? I don't know why. Because his name starts with a J. I was thinking Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah.
I was thinking him.
But Hyatt's an outside guy.
Hyatt doesn't have a bag of moves. Mm-hmm. I was watching him today. He doesn't. He's straight line speed, good physical body.
That's D-Jax, man. He want to go.
You're right. Jaden Reed, because he was doing punt return stuff. You're right. I remember him now.
Yeah, but Jaden Reed, man, that's a true. I think he's a true slot. I love his short area quickness. You talk about Jaden, as soon as you cut the tape on, you're going to see him short area making something miss. And when he decides to put that foot in the ground and get north and south, it's a track meet. You got to go get him. Natural hands catcher as well, man. Deke brought it up. All these dudes that we talking about, man, could go down that grass and get the ball. He's another one of them, though, man. Like, he'll go up there and get it, natural hands catcher. But the thing that stood out to me was this. Even though Jaden was smaller in stature, I think he's listed at 5'10". This dude is so freaking physical, man. And when you talk about dudes trying to tackle him, he is a tough tackle. Even though, like I said, he's not a big dude, he just plays with such physicality, man. And it was really impressive to see that. Also could do the punt return stuff. Shoot, he even throw the football too, Deke.
I saw that. That was a bad pass.
It was about to be picked, bro. The receiver saved him, 1,000%, bro.
Yeah, the receiver made a hell of a play.
The receiver saved him, man. But I like his game though, man. I love his toughness though. That was the one thing that continued to jump off the screen when I watched Jaden. Like, they used him in a couple of ways. Jet sweeps. I mean, I think Matt Canada would love him because he was jet sweep. He was the reverse dude. We talked about him like he was almost like
no reverse passes, please.
Hey,
no reverse passes.
You know what I said? I said, bro.
Please.
I said, look. We initially started with. What's the cat that? Oh my God! That we went to San Fran from us.
Oh, Ray.
We initially had Ray McLeod. Then it was Steven Sims. I was like, yo, they just gonna throw Jaden Reed in there now, man. He's the new gadget guy. I can see it, man. He fit it, bro. He does fit it, man.
I hope not. I hope not from the standpoint we're actually throwing passes. The jet sweep here and there, fine. It's been actually working.
Yeah, but I did like his game. I do feel like of the three that came in on visits, he to me is the most traditional, like,
the dude
slot
that intrigues
receiver.
me the most is Charlie Jones.
I'm not gonna lie, he had me excited, bro.
I don't know how he fits for slot receiver, but if, as I mentioned, if you just want to bring in a guy you think's the best of the bunch, I think it's really intriguing.
Charlie's productivity, of last season, Charlie had the better season of all three of these dudes. Charlie's tape is crazy. My big question with Charlie is, can you beat that press consistently? And it was the 1 year of crazy production jump. And anytime you get those 1 year type jumps, it just makes you wonder, like, what happened? What was different? Is this who you truly are? Himself. Or is this an outlier? Like, that's the concern, man. Because that can happen. Dude get hot, man. It's a good matchup, couple good games. Quarterback feeling good, and all of a sudden you like, bro, this dude's like that, and then the variables change, and now it's like, okay, he's not like that. He was a product of this scenario here. Like I said, that's one of the things when you're talking Charlie that you got to ask yourself. But yeah, his tape is crazy to me.